We could just start with something basic that we all expected from this administration, but we still have to talk about, because if we don't talk about it, then I feel like I'm low-key normalizing it. I don't want to normalize the crazy corruption. And I know, when you see like the crypto, when you see the crypto dinner with like the dog food steaks and the terrible halibut and like the 4 carrots, it's it's very funny to see the con men get conned. Like, some people get angry on Twitter that they couldn't literally just bribe the president. I spent $480,000 and he didn't get to pump my shit coin on the internet. It's very funny, but the fact that he can have billions of dollars sift in and out of these Trump coins, and the immense wealth that is being built within his family based off of that, how easy is it to track all that money? And the fact that, Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary, openly said that they were not going to provide a list of who went to that dinner to the public. I mean, it has all the trimmings of, well, maybe not every single one of these like dumb internet goons who gave half their savings to get to that dinner. Maybe not any of them are going to profit off of getting Trump to talk about their shit coin from their 15-minute canned crypto speech, but maybe other people who funnel money into it, more serious sums of money, maybe they do. Or you could talk about the Emirati plane deal, which is extremely fishy. We could talk about the first term and the Saudis buying all those rooms at Trump Hotel. We could talk about any number of different little marketing gimmicks Trump has done. But point is, they have profited immensely off of the office of the presidency. And when you can get a meeting with the president for $5 million, or be part of a group meeting for 3 mil, if you want to, have a little bit of a discount, uh, that is a problem. Some of it is institutional, which is stuff that Trump's inheriting when it comes to, fundraising with, big corporate lobbyists. And some of it is just blatant abuse of power and abuse of the office. I think trying to sell Teslas on the White House lawn is pretty bad. I think using the White House for marketing gimmicks is pretty bad. I think the crypto situation is probably one of the worst. But I also want to show you guys that it's not just going to stop at the president directly profiting off of any of these, like, I don't know, Trump Steak Tube, Electric Boogaloo, but there's also going to be him bailing out other people, using his office to bail out others, which then either helps him politically because he wants allies, or he will profit off of in some other manner. And it's not that every single one of these instances is going to have like money change hands, but what's interesting is the people that are getting pardoned, because it isn't cases of people, hey, this person is absolutely innocent, or hey, this person did this but they did it for a good cause and I think we should understand, or hey, this person is, we know for sure that this person has truly learned their lesson. It seems to be a lot of people who engage in financial crimes, and you wouldn't, I would say kind of almost con man-esque behavior. We're talking fraud, we're talking defrauding banks, we're talking police corruption. Let's read to you a few of the people that the presidency has thought fit to use the office to pardon, and not people who have maybe been behind bars for 20 years for drug offenses after 3 strikes, who maybe, yeah, this person has some kids at home that would like to see the last 6 years of their life with their, well, no, let's not go through those working class cases. Let's go through the list of celebrities and Trump supporters. And let me tell you something, when it comes to these people who are getting these pardons, none of them are people who are not politically aligned with the president. This all also seems to be based in people who are aligned with him. I mean, the J6 rioters is obviously a case of that, but in all these instances, these are people who are politically dedicated to him in some manner. So the big headline one is Trump set to pardon reality TV stars Todd and Julie Chrisley of fraud and tax evasion convictions. So these are 2 reality TV stars who would go around and show off their lifestyle, as many do, and they would show off their quite extravagant, quite, let's just say, wealthy way of living. And it turns out that certain taxes were being avoided, and they were filing fraudulent business paperwork with banks and then using new loans to pay old loans. Which, I mean, if we're going to talk about fraudulent behavior, they're taking it from the best. Ponzi himself would be crying tears of joy that his schemes are still working all this time later. Anyway, these two defrauded people. These two were guilty of tax evasion, and these two were sentenced to, I believe it was like 8 to 12 years. They got some serious prison time. Julian Chrisley was sentenced to 7 years. Yes, his wife was sentenced to 7, and Todd was sentenced to 12. They ended up serving 2 because Trump decided to pardon them. This also so happened to coincide a month after their daughter went on Lors Trump's podcast and, defended the family and all this other stuff and how great they are. And Trump's justification for this pardon simply seemed to be, and I quote, that the punishment was too harsh. Mind you, they served 2 years. 2 years for millions of dollars of fraud. Somebody goes to a gas station, robs it for $500. They could be in prison for 18, 25 years. These people defraud millions upon millions upon millions. I mean, we're talking about $20+ million in unpaid loans. But $500 out of a gas station register, 17, 25. These people, 2. Anything more than 2 would be too harsh. Mind you, 12 years, 7 years. That means they're probably going to she was going to get parole probably in 2 years anyway. And he was probably going to get parole probably 6 to 7. I don't think these guys are hardened criminals that he's going to go join the Aryan Nation in there. But this is who he's benefiting with his pardon privileges. It is people who are politically aligned with him and also people who tend to commit financial crimes. Or in some instances, guilty of corruption. Let's show you guys another instance of this. The president has also moved to pardon Paul Welzick, a Florida healthcare executive imprisoned on tax charges whose mother helped expose the contents of a dairy kept by Ashley Biden. So, hey, I'm going to help you get out of these tax charges because you went after my political opponent. Again, political loyalty leading to him going out and bending the law for those who support him. In April, he pardoned Nevada Republican Michael Foray, who is awaiting sentencing on federal charges that she used money meant for a statue honoring a slain police officer for personal costs, including plastic surgery. Somebody smokes a joint on their on their porch in Texas, ends up being the third strike. They're on parole. They get sent back for what, 10, 15 years? It's a third strike. Who knows how long they can get sent in there for? This woman uses money that was meant for a slain officer statue, back the blue, right? And uses it to touch up her face. That's who deserves Trump's pardon. These are Charles Ponzi ass people. These are bottom of the barrel. These are people that are like 2 steps from running like scam call centers that he's bending backwards to try to pardon. Again, drain the swamp. We're going to go in there. We're going to get rid of the corruption. We're going to get rid of all the waste, fraud, and abuse. We're going to go in there. We're going to fight for the little man who wants their tax dollars properly used. Trump pardons former sheriff convicted of bribery, cleaning up the swamp and installing a fresh new golden plated one. U.S. President Donald Trump has issued a pardon to a former Virginia sheriff who was convicted on fraud and not just bribery, fraud charges as well. Fantastic. Again, all these fraudsters. He seems to be particularly sympathetic to fraudsters. A jury found former Culper County Sheriff Scott Jenkins guilty of accepting more than $75,000 in bribes last December in exchange for making several businessmen into law enforcement officers without them being trained. Pay for a badge. Pay for a badge. Here is $25,000 or
Occurred is occurred.
$30,000. Make me a police officer. Pay for a badge. This is the type of stuff that can get people killed because somebody wasn't properly trained. There's already enough problems with police officers who are supposedly properly trained killing people that shouldn't be killed. There's already national scandals over that. Now you want to make it pay for a badge? They're gonna have no understanding of a person's constitutional rights. These are people who will go around and will abuse it. If you're paying for a badge, you don't care enough to go through the process. This is somebody who wants to be able to turn on their lights and speed down the road to skip traffic. This is somebody who wants to pull over the guy who's dating their ex so they can arrest them and charge them with some crazy thing like battery on a police officer. These are people who would absolutely abuse the system, and he was willing to allow them to pay for it. These are the people that are getting pardons by Donald J. Trump. But mind you, this next sentence, Jenkins, a longtime supporter of Trump. Sheriff Scott Jenkins, his wife Patricia, and their family has been dragged through hell, Trump wrote in a Truth Social network post. Trump said Jenkins was the victim of an overzealous Biden Department of Justice. The judge who presided over Jenkins' case, Robert Bolo, was appointed by President Joe Biden, but it was a jury trial. Trump called Jenkins a wonderful person who was persecuted by the radical left monsters and left for dead. He was found guilty of 1 count of conspiracy, 4 counts of honest service fraud, and 7 counts of bribery concerning programs receiving federal funds. Waste, fraud, and abuse. We're going to stop the waste, fraud, and abuse. Unless you're a police officer, we won't back the blue if you're a DC cop, but we will back the blue if you're selling badges and you're willing to engage in just the most rank corruption. Okay. Look, this was never about draining the swamp. He doesn't care if it's a swamp or not. Trump has always been a swamp creature. He lived in the swampiest of swamps with Roy Cohn, and you expect him to bring a different behavior to Washington? You expect him to use his power of the pardon to pardon people who actually deserve it? You expect him to choose people who might actually, be a person who committed a crime that's not being a con man, who maybe did it for good reasons or, hey, possibly has learned their lesson? Well, I cannot look into the hearts of all these people for the reasons that he always puts forward. It's persecution and radical left, and it always seems to be the people who support him. Not only are people who pass the loyalty tests being appointed to FBI and CIA positions with reports indicating that who are the real patriots in J6, these are the types of questions that these people are being asked to become staff of these organizations, but also the top organizations in the country. When it comes to his, when I say top organizations in the country, I mean his cabinet. That's a weird way to put it. His cabinet. When we talk about top health administration, HHS. We talk about top intelligence position, Tulsi Gabbard. We talk about J.D. Vance. It's people who pass the loyalty test who might not be qualified for the job. And when it comes to those who get the pardon pass, it's people who might not necessarily deserve it, but they pass the loyalty test. The loyalty test above all. You're loyal to Trump, you get the top job. You're loyal to Trump, he's gonna go and fight for you. You're loyal to Trump, that means fighting the legal system too. You're gonna get a pardon if you're loyal to Trump. Not good. No bueno.